I can remember very clearly the moment that I chose to stop being an overpacker. I was in Amsterdam for a week with my husband, and it was a 1-week short trip, and I packed a backpack, a purse, and a giant checked suitcase. And I remember when I was coming back to the airport at the end of my trip, on the multiple streams of public transport I had to take with all of that gear with me to get to the airport, I remember thinking to myself, I am never gonna pack like this again. It's just not worth it. And since then, with the exception of having to go to California for my wedding and my wedding dress having to be in a checked bag because it's enormous, I haven't packed heavily since. And I've switched my mindset in a lot of ways in order to become a better packer, and I want to share that with you. I'm going back to California for 4 days to participate in my friend's wedding. By the time you're watching this video, I'll already be back in town, but I did think it would be interesting for you to see what I pack for a trip like this and how a minimalist packs in general. So when packing, I like to consider my itinerary when deciding what I'm gonna bring. Am I gonna be outdoors and hiking most predominantly? Am I gonna be sightseeing in the city? Am I gonna be visiting my mom or my friends? Also very important is I like to consider the weather. For this trip, when I checked the weather of the general Bay Area of the time of me being at this trip, it was gonna be predominantly in the 70s, so I kind of had an idea of what type of clothing would be appropriate to wear. So for my 4-day trip, this is what I'm packing. Day 1, the only thing scheduled for this day was a red-eye flight and then sleep. I'll be staying with my grandpa because he's close to the wedding venue, so all I needed this day was what I was going to be wearing on the plane and what I wanted to wear to sleep. So for this, I'm bringing leggings, a black t-shirt, a hoodie, and sneakers for the plane, and then PJs for my night of sleep. A few packing tips that you might find helpful that definitely change the way I pack is, number 1, ask yourself what you really need as opposed to what you might need. And these are very situational depending upon where you're going, but I definitely used to pack with the mindset of anything I could possibly need, I want to bring. And now I pack more realistically with what am I most likely to need and how can I procure those items. A perfect example is if you're in a country that has maybe unstable healthcare, you're going to want to bring more medication than if you're just going to California to be in a wedding. Number 2 is to choose a smaller bag when packing. I find that we as humans tend to fill the space that we're given. So if we give ourselves less space, we open up the door to be a little bit more resourceful with how and what we're packing. Day 2 of the trip is going to be spent in the morning breakfast with my grandparents because I couldn't possibly stay at their house without spending some much wanted time with them. Then after breakfast and some board games with my grandparents in the morning and early afternoon, I'll be headed to the wedding venue for a rehearsal dinner, wedding prep for the next day, and also some bonding time with the rest of the wedding party. For this day, I will need casual clothes for my grandparents' house, a semi-casual dress for the rehearsal dinner, and a swimsuit for the evening, and then some PJs for the night. So for my casual outfit, I am just going to be wearing my sort of home clothes that I wear to bed in the early morning with my grandparents. Then rolling over to the rehearsal dinner, I'll be wearing a dress and some flats. These flats are also going to double as the shoes that I wear when I kick off my heels on the day of the wedding. A swimsuit I'm bringing because the girls that are in the wedding are going to be bonding in the hot tub and pool the night before the wedding after helping clean up and set up for the wedding at the venue because the venue does have a pool. And then PJs is just going to be that same rollover pair that I wore on night 1. Day 3. Wedding day. This day will be filled with helping the bride in any way she needs, so most of my time will be spent with her and the rest of the wedding party at the venue. So on this day, I'll be having a quick breakfast with my grandparents, and then I'm off to the venue for the rest of the day and night. What I need for this day are casual clothes to spend the morning in and go to the venue in, the dress, jewelry, and shoes I'm wearing as a bridesmaid that are already approved by the bride, plus a pair of flats for later in the evening when it's time to kick off my heels. For my casual clothes, I'm going to be re-wearing those home clothes that I wore from yesterday, and then for my dress, I have the dress, shoes, jewelry, etc. already approved by the bride, and gonna be bringing those as well. And then we're on to day 4, which isn't really a full day similar to day 1. This is a travel day. The only thing on the list for the day is to get to the airport and come home. So for this day, the only clothing I'm gonna need are comfy travel clothes. And for my travel clothes, I am bringing another pair of black leggings, another black t-shirt. I'm gonna re-wear the sneakers, re-wear the hoodie, and of course, a new pair of fuzzy socks. Other things that I'll be packing for this trip are makeup. My makeup has already been approved by the bride to look cohesive with the other girls, and lucky for me, it's a pretty minimal look. Toiletries, whether I'm packing for a week or only a weekend, these pretty much stay consistent with only slight variations. My work gear. I do have a bit of work to do on this trip to keep my life in order for when I return. This isn't all my work gear by any means, but it should be all I need for the weekend. A steamer for my dress. I have confirmed that there will not be one for me to borrow on site at the location, so I'm bringing mine with me. A few medications just in case. Extra underwear because duh. And extra masks because duh. And that's all I'll be packing for this particular trip. Please like this video if you liked it. This will let me know if I should do these type of pack with me videos again when I go on trips in the future. And subscribe if you're not already. Next week's video is gonna be a super fun Halloween type video to get in the spooky mood for October. So you wanna be subscribed to not miss out on that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.